Good morning to all, and good evening to people who are listening to me from India, from Bharat. This is Professor Dr. Advocate V. N. Ramesh from the s- place of Seattle in the United States of America. I have been re- asked by Mr. Vishnu to speak today about the why the civil services, what is the way to prepare for civil services, and about internal security aspects as well. I appreciate that those of you who are participating already knew about me, and I will not waste any more time about telling about myself. I'll straight go into the topic. After the discussion of today's today's issues, if we have any session, any time for Q&A, question and answers, we can ask and we can discuss those answers also to your questions, if any. Now, number one, first point, why civil services? You see, Abraham Maslow, who was a great psychologist, has spoken about the hierarchy of needs. Every human being has a hierarchy of needs, and those needs are primordial needs, basically, which at the basic point of the pyramid, you have got the hunger, you have got the need for shelter and food and all that. And later on, next is economic needs, social needs, like that. And the last, top of the pyramid, they are called self-actualization needs. Now, self-actualization needs makes people to do job for their pure internal happiness. Civil services is essentially a self-actualization need fulfillment facility that has been given to in our great country for nearly more than almost 250, 200 years. If not 200 years, at least 150 years, I must say. There were civil services in one form or the other throughout the country, even historically also. But when British colonialism was there in this country till 1947, we have the Indian civil services, and later on, which was converted into the All India services after attainment of independence in the year 1947. So before that, there was the Indian civil services and the Indian police and Indian railways, etc., which was there. Exam used to be conducted only at one place in London, and then people used to be trained there, and then people are appointed, and they were district collectors, including capital, the highest level used to happen. And similarly, in the army also, there used to be recruitment for in British Indian Army. The same system continued with modifications for Indian needs of the nation, which is free. So we have that civil services commission, and the commission's recommendations were accepted, and the Indian civil services was there. Sardar Patel, sir, needs to be remembered, the Loha Purush of India, Iron Man of India, for retaining the civil services, even though there was a discussion to because it's un-Indian or it is exploitative, and hence it should be removed, and we should go for some other system. But fortunately, good sense prevailed, and civil services was retained. So that he will be coming to know about when once you study the polity and the constitution and its evaluation. But sufficient it is to say here that we have civil versus military that needs to be there. Military services and civil services were not different ancient times; they were same. The civil services was there, which are specialized basically due to the Bismarck and other great emperors who were there, and in the Roman Empire also there were civil services because trade and flag and imperialism and occupation of new areas and governance required a structured kind of governance, and civil services is the first element of the structured governance. Max Weber said, talked about bureaucracy, and bureaucracy is basically a machinery for civil services. And bureaucracy is not a pejorative or a bad word. Bureaucracy means a government system of government which systematically work through offices. That's what bureaucracy actually means. So civil services was given as a facility. We have civil services. When we say civil, we must also understand that civil versus military, whichever is not a military can be considered a civil. And what is military? Military is related with only absolutely security aspect, the offense as well as the defense. The rest of all aspects, economic, political, industrial, cultural, educational, ecological, and all aspects, banking, savings, and health, education, and other aspects, internal, external relations with other countries, all fall within the domain of civil services. Now, what is meant by service? We talked about civil, then services. What is service? Service is not servitude. Service is a structured form of delivery of certain facilities to the people according to the law. It is not any NGO we are talking about, non-governmental organization. We're talking about governmental organization. Every service that is there is created by the government. In other words, it's a creature of the constitution of the country. And they also follow certain rules and regulations. When I say certain rules and regulations, I mean not uncertain rules and regulations. In other words, there is no uncertainty. There is certainty. It means clarity of purpose, clarity of thought, clarity of function, clarity of structure. Without proper structure, you cannot have a proper function, and without proper strategy, you cannot have a structure. So, governance is a strategy of fulfillment of services and obligations which are there constitutional, which originate from the constitution, and government is formed to see to governance is disbursed to the people of the whole country. You must know that a nation state is made up of four elements: population, territory, government, and sovereignty. So when you talk about government, we talk about the civil services. So the three parts, yani the population, territory, and sovereignty are maintained by the government, which is basically an instrument of civil services. So services is not servitude, it's not slavery. Services is not authority. Services is not exploitation. Services is not bondage. What are the services then? Services means selflessness. Services means help, rule of law, rule by law, rules for law, and not in other way around. In other words, law for rules, no. Law by the rules, no. Law of some individuals, no. And the rule of law essentially means supreme. Law is supreme. Nobody is above law and nobody is below law, as it was so nicely said by Roosevelt. And now, the other aspects of rule of law and civil services, for which rule of law is the main purpose of delivery as a service, is equality, liberty, justice, freedom, freedom in arts and culture, progress, development, inclusiveness, सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका अवकाश, सबका विश्वास. That's what the entire Indian ethos. These are all there in the preamble of the Constitution of India. So when you talk about civil services, we essentially talk of the functionality of the Constitution of India. Now, the other aspect is there are types of civil services. Types of civil services are basically types of civil services essentially means both private and public government. Civil services does not mean only government. Civil services also means industry related civil services. Whichever is not military is civil, as I told you. So private sector is also part of the civil services, but government becomes a controlling agency of the private sector or a private sector facilitator, whereas government becomes a sole originator, proprietor, dealer, and a regulator, controller, and all from A to Z. It becomes government in civil services when you talk of government. So private versus public or private versus government, when we talk of civil services, we are essentially talking of civil services in the domain of the government of India or government of states. Now, private sector civil services means management, professionals, business, consultancy, corporations, companies, even agriculture. These are all the basic domains of the uh, private sector. Whichever is not public sector or whichever is not government sector belongs to the private sector. Now, government essentially also in our country indulges activities which include, among others, industry, taxation, economy, security, local government, provincial government, union government, which also includes three branches, namely legislature, executive, judiciary, which also deals with various departments. For example, education is required, employment is required, empowerment is required, infrastructure is required for education for all the above the aspects. And similarly, we need to have roads, railways, transportation, waterways, canals for irrigation, and national disaster management policy. We must have also gas supply, energy security, aviation, and trade relations with other countries, cross border trade, and also import exports. And above all, we also need to see to it that every person in the country, every citizen of the country, also become a partner, and that is possible in this country through panchayat and urban local bodies, as well as through jilla parishads, and we have got panchayat samitis. Similarly, we have got state governments, union territory governments, and third at the last stage we have got union government. That is, people mistakenly call it as central government. There's nothing called central government, it's only union government. India is a union of states, it's not a federation of states. So do not talk about federalism. There is a center state relations or union state relations, which is part of the constitutional division of their authority or division of services. Now, when you compare to services, we have got four aspects of services. Please understand. One, physical aspect of services, mental aspect of services, emotional aspect of services, and spiritual aspect of services. And corp naturally, every individual in our country talk about four ashrams. That is brahmacharya, grihast, vanaprasth, and sannyas. These four also are akin to that, or even in other words, are related or similar to that. Akin means similarity. So the history of the civil now let's go to the history of the civil services. We have got, as I discussed, Max Weber is the father of the concept of bureaucracy and civil services. We have British civil services. Those of you who study public administration will be knowing thoroughly about it, but sufficient for us to know this much that the British services, which was modeled, we are modeled on the British civil services. Britain has got more or less the same kind of thing, and they have also had a company corporate law in 2006. We amended our company law, corporate law in 2013. We follow the Anglo-Saxon system. Nowadays, we are also following the American system too in many upcoming areas. We have earlier systems included Indian Civil Services and Indian Police, and Indian Police become Indian Police Service after the attainment of the independence. We have got challenges, of course. There are ours is now fourth largest economy in the world. We are about to become the third largest, maybe second largest. And I have invented one slogan called Mahamaga is equal to NUV 2047, wherein make Aryavart, that is India, or Bharat, happiest again, make Aryavart greatest again only through numero uno Bharat 2047. I have no doubt that our country will be number one in the world by 2047. Pax Bharatika will start. I will not say Pax Indiana. I will say Pax Bharatika, which is so far different from Pax Anglicana or Pax Britannica or Pax Americana or Pax Sovietica. Now it is Pax Bharatika. So I'm sure in the days to come. So that is where civil services play a very important role in the days to come. Now, second part of my today's discussion includes what are the present day challenges to civil services, including what are the challenges. Now, how to what are the present day challenges of civil services? Present day challenges, as I told you, it's a globalized economy. A lot of attrition is going on. A lot of competition is going on. We have become a fourth largest economy in the world. I'm sure within another 6 months we'll become the third largest. We have two models: the communist China model in front of us, and the US model. US is a natural front of us. So naturally, our the demographic dividend, our resources, our education systems, our Anglican speaking, our youthfulness of our population, all that will make us as number one in the world by 2047 if we continue the same governance system and we also overcome certain errors which were there and which we learn from our past and which also continue to reinvigorate and re-engineer ourselves globally. Now, second part of my lecture includes how to prepare for civil services. Now, for those of you who are students, and this lecture is going to be recorded, and I'm sure it is going to be distributed throughout all the aspirants of the Indian youth. I hope that this will be done. Entire country's youth will be benefited by this small lecture of mine, or small internal sharing. I won't call it a lecture, or my own experiential sharing, my own discovery of myself. First is, of course, know about the country. First is that if you don't love your country, do not come for civil services. Civil services is not a job. Civil services is not a software job. Civil services is not for corruption. Civil services is not for under table money. Civil services is essentially to serve the country, like the way freedom fighters have started as sacrificed their everything and served. Similarly, you have to sacrifice your comfort. You have to sacrifice your other demands for money, etc., etc. You may be from IIT. I am from IIT. I am from IIM. I also could have joined civil service, so many big companies. I could also become biggest man by now. But I didn't. I loved my country and I joined, and I was very happy person when I retired, having served. So civil services gives you extraordinary happiness because civil services is the only services in the world. Indian civil services is the only services in the world which makes a young man to remove the tears of his countrymen at a very young age instantaneously, and thousands and millions of people's tears you can remove by simple order, by one your presence. If you're an honest, efficient person, if you're an IAS or IPS officer, with an efficient officer, you can really be the hope. Because in our country, people may not believe the politicians, but people believe the IAS and IPS officers still, even now. So that respect the services have because of the competition of the examination and also because of the preparation that it is required. So you must do that. Third is, of course, you should know about the people, see about the history. I have 26 points here. One by one, I'm telling those of you who want to record, please note that. First is know about the country, B is about the people, C is the history, D geography, E economy, F polity, G governance, H international relations, I science and technology, J industry, K new horizons of industrial development advancement, and L ecology, M statistics about the country, about its area, for example, 3.28 million square kilometers is the area. We have got 15,000 kilometers of sea border and more than 7,000 of land border, total 22,000 kilometers. So that kind of statistics you should know. Ethics in administration, philosophical schools of thought of ancient Bharat, freedom movement and its history, and Q, security aspects, both external or internal security. S, public-private sector interaction. T, trade. U, finance. V, banks. W, IBRD, that is International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, World Bank and IMF and global institutions. X, Bharat and world. How India is placed in the world economy, world polity, and world power. Soft power, hard power, referential power. And startups, why is startups? And Z, of course, the one that is going on right now. Gen X, millennials, just in time concept, gig economy, ikigai, or concept of kaizen or nemowashi. Kaizen means constant improvement. Nemowashi means basically structure. If you are individual, as an individual preparing for civil services, your foundations must be very strong, and then only you can improve. So you should, before attempting for civil services, basically meant for re-engineering your capacities, you should be re-engineering your own self. You should have an emowashi for you personality first, and then you should constantly reinvigorate. It's a tough job. It's a very tough job. The toughest examination in the world is the Indian civil services, and those who are winners are not quitters. Those who are quitters are not winners. Now, let me come to the process. What are the process? First is resource mobilization. What are the resources available for your preparation? Newspapers, articles, books. Nowadays, we have got the podcast. Right now, I am sitting in Seattle. It's now 3:54 a.m. in the morning. Now, you are listening to me in India. Now, without any disturbance, as if I'm in front of you. This is the power of technology. We have got immense institutions, immense podcasts are available in the internet. Internet is both a boon as well as a bane. It also tells you pornography. It also gives you Hoover Institution's podcasts. It also exposes to Stanford, Stanford and MIT, Massachusetts of Technology and Harvard. It also gives you rabid communal speeches by rabid elements. It is also exposed to darknet. So use the internet availability. Now, third is, of course, government publications. Government of India, earlier it used to be, we have got now, it's no longer called Planning Commission. Whatever the government publications are, which are available through Yojanas and other and Government of India publications, His India 2024, like that, books are available. And authentic books, authentic access, you should have the government's website, like Reserve Bank of India, Indian Historical Research, Indian Philosophical Research. There's so many bodies available which regularly publish. For example, those of you who want to study security aspects, you should follow the magazines of IDSA, Manohar Parrikar's IDSA, in Institute of Defense Studies and Analysis. The father of the present External Affairs Minister, Sri K. Subramaniam, Dr. K. Subramaniam, present our present Education External Affairs Minister's father, IAS officer, he was the man who started this. We should follow those things. And writing, articulation, brevity, and comprehension. These are the four aspects. And the fifth one, I will say, A, B, C, D, E. Please note down. A, B, C, D, E means first is accuracy, second is brevity, third is comprehension, fourth is decisiveness, destiny, and discipline, and E means expression, excellence, and economy with the words. You should not write Chata Bharatams. Go on writing like this. Should be very clear, like a bullet, AK-47 bullet. What is meant by bullet? I define bullet as a bullet is a bullet because it goes and touches the bull. It is not here and going here and there. You should be very brief with your words. You should be very straight point, and you should not beat around the bush, and you should be straight and be accurate. You should not give wrong facts, because those who write, you evaluate your answer papers, they are masters in this, as much masters as they are setting the question papers. So understand that. Worst deception is self-deception. So those of you who are dare enough not to deceive yourself only can succeed in civil services. Now, sixth point is notes making. Notes making is extremely important, and because it makes experience, writing makes an exact man. Writing is equivalent to 10 times reading. Seventh is, of course, I would like to say cautions and care here. We have to be very hardworking person. We have to have a tremendous love for your country. You must have self-respect, and you must not gamble with civil services preparation. Fourth is self-reliance. Fifth is positive psychology. Sixth is determination. Winners are never quitters. Quitters are never winners. This is written in National Police Academy. Next is eighth is awareness. Ninth is consistency. Even if you don't succeed in one attempt, there are four. I think there are a number of attempts for different categories. You must utilize it to the full extent as permitted by the law. Next, the last point is openness. You should be openness. You should never confine yourself. You must be as open as the wind, as open as the garden. As that. Please remember two CQs. First CQ is cheerfulness, courage, and confidence at your individual level. And second CQ is at the organization level: command, control, and communication. These two CQ, small CQ plus capital CQ. These small CQ plus capital CQ only are going to make you as EQ. That is excellence, emancipation, and employment for services, or excellence. First is excellence and emancipation and education. These three. So small CQ plus capital CQ is equal to EQ. This is my equation which I developed. And next is, of course, I was asked to talk about internal security. I'll take 2-3 minutes of time to talk about internal security. What is security? We all know. So without security, development is impossible. Sovereignty means actually a nation which cannot be secured cannot be sovereign. So an internal security means the one that contributes, that is much beyond the law and order, which is the state subject, public order, which is the concurrent subject, And internal security is essentially the responsibility of the union government. So internal security, we have three challenges in this country, three regions. One is Kashmir, second one is Northeast, third one is left-wing extremism. There are great successes which were happening in all the things, even though external factors are also there. The non-state actors like the terrorist groups from across the border come and disturb us. We have got Operation Sindoor also recently. We have got the Pahalgam attacks, and so many things have happened. We are having a very positive response to that. We are doing, and we have also have a devised systems of extending our soft power and hard power, mixture of both our Indian space technology, military technology, BrahMos and S-400 and others, which all we are know. So that's how we are securing it. And we have got three, as I told about three regions. We have got the another aspect is a communal strife that is deliberate, two nation theory and 2.5 wars, China, Pakistan, and zero point 0.5 war in India, as was told by the combined chief CD, late Bipin Rawat sir. And there is also the concept of ethno-linguistic fractionalization in this country for so many years. If at all I get an opportunity to discuss, I will definitely discuss with others, along with other ethics aspect of it. Now we have got a political response, we have got a documentation response, we have many things to learn, and we have got also lessons learned from the past and lessons learned from others. So we should not be rediscovering the zero every time. We can always learn from others. The recent incidents include the Nambala Kesavarao encounter last month in Dandakaran, Narayanpur area, who is the CPI Maoist General Secretary. Such kind of encounter never happened in the history of the country. So hopefully by next March 2026, the left-wing extremism chapter will be a closed chapter, as Punjab agitation was a closed chapter in the country. Similarly, Operation Sindoor is a recent incident. Indus Water Treaty, there is also a recent incident. We have got the internal security aspects because we have got the communal tinge everywhere. There's always Tanjims which are working. They have different names. You ban Simi, it comes in another name. You ban PFI, it comes in another name. So these aspects are there. So we have got an aspect of Israel-Iran war that is going on right now, and Israel versus Hamas and others, that was also going on for quite some time, 2.5 years. And we have got a Russian-Ukrainian war that has got an impact. And we have got recently, of course, Operation Sindoor and our neighbors systems, which we have, And there's also a tariff issues, a problem going on between US and the rest of the world. We have got the Doklam incident. We have got Tibet, Taiwan, and the Chinese 1,000 years policy, apart from the 1,000-year cuts policy of the Pakistan on us. And we have got a 100-year marathon policy of the US and of China versus US. So this People's Republic of China versus United States of America, their political aspects will have a spillover effects on the third power, that is us. And we are also the most populous country in the world. And we are also respected today because of our consistency. And we have got the economic security also is very much essential, apart from political security, online security and cyber security, and ecological security, global warming. So this illegal immigration, Rohingyas, illegal Bangladeshi people occupying different places, and non-governance aspects, what Hydra is doing in Telangana. These are all issues which have got internal security ramifications. And attacks on the trains, attacks on ISRO assets, attacks on our strategic important places of strategic places of importance are also essential, because once you attack, so for example, the recent Air India uh, crash in Ahmedabad speaks not well of our, even though recent other incidents of our valor in the airspace and cyber security is praiseworthy. But these things we need to learn lessons from, and we need to improve. Now I close down here. If you have any questions, please ask. A means accuracy. You must be very accurate. With accuracy means what? Accuracy means absolute truthfulness. Yani, there is no mistake in what you write. If you don't know, you be silent. But don't do something. Don't ever try to be to think that you are accurate. You don't think. You know that you are accurate. But there is nothing called thinking accurate. X is X, Y is Y. A is A, B is B. Simple. One is one, two is two. One cannot be two. Second is brevity. You have got 25 questions in all four general studies papers, and same in the optionals. You answer around 6 papers, written papers, and 1 essay, and everything is time limited. Unless you are very brief, very comprehensive, very brief within your writing, you can't. You will be, if you extend the word limit, you will also be extend the time limit, and you will be losing marks. So you should be brave, brevity. Third is comprehension. Comprehension means you should be having a logical argument in your answer. When you make a notes, you should have prepared the same follow. If you follow the same thing when you are making notes, accuracy, brevity, comprehension, then only you will be able to reply. So making notes is a rehearsal for writing the answer at the end. So you should think like that. Fourth is D, that is D, decisiveness, destiny, and discipline. What is discipline in writing? Discipline is writing means not beating around the bush, always confined to the central point of discussion, and also decisive. Don't be, don't try to quote X by Z. X said this, Y said this, however, Z also said this. Then what are you saying? That is what is important. So decisiveness. This is wrong, this is right. This is what I suggest. This is the problem, this is my solution. The solution may be wrong. There's nothing called wrong solution or right solution. Social problems or economic problems are not physics or chemistry problems. They evolve. So you should be having your own way of doing this. And fifth is expression, E, expression, excellence, economy with words. Your expression must be very clear, and it must be so different from others that the examiner must fall in love with you, your answer, so that he will give you more marks. Excellence in your what all you said, what all you believe. That excellence must be reflected. If you don't believe in what you are writing, then don't write. Then don't write. This is not mugging up or vomiting out, or taking some poison and vomiting out. If you don't love in Bharat, then don't come to Bharatiya Civil Services. Then only people will succeed. That excellence will come. Economy with words means if one line can substitute a paragraph, do that. If one word can substitute a line, do that. If one letter can substitute a word, do that. You must have extreme confidence in English language, extreme verbal capacity, vocabulary, comprehension, grammar, all. That's what it is. ABCD means that. So if no one has got any question, uh, I thank you for your audience and attention. It's a difficult job to complete these many points in half an hour, which we did with your cooperation. I hope you are benefited by this half an hour or 35 minutes. Um, I'm available. Your organizers of this Zoom will be able to
Thank,
uh,
thank you, sir.
will be able to bring you to me. No problem. And I sign off. My name is Advocate, Professor, Doctor, Engineer, Superintendent, uh, Psychologist, B. N. Ramesh, Indian Police Service, and LLD. I am. I studied in my country with 3 degrees, 3 post graduations, 3 PhDs, 2 postdoctoral fellowships, 1 international degree. I worked in Kashmir. I worked in LW areas. I worked in West Bengal. I retired as Director General of Police of West Bengal. Now I practice advocacy in law. I did my third PhD in law, first PhD from IIT Kharagpur, and I'm also from an MBA from IIM Calcutta. So I have enjoyed my civil services tenure, maximum to my maximum extent, and I'm an eternal student, and I also ran 100 marathons. I'm a super runner, international cyclist, and a commando trainer, and a commando myself. Jai Hind.